Hello everyone, welcome to Liam's Lyceum. I'm your host Liam, aka Hempar, and today I have another weekly update for you. This is Liam's Leapings number 17 for the 12th of November 2022. So I'm just going to go over, I'll try to keep this short. I say that every week, but it doesn't happen. Anyways, so today I read some poetry in a spring harvest. Something happened on my phone, typical, by Jeffrey Bache Smith. He's a good friend of Tolkien's. He died in World War I. Armistice Day today. Or Veterans Day or Remembrance Day, whatever you want to call it. So I went to my local floral shop and they had no poppies. It was kind of disappointing. Anyways, some good poetry though. There is a note in here by Tolkien. That's actually really, I've shared it on the channel before when I shared a poem from this collection, probably about a year ago. Okay, I'm still making my way through this Dark Souls novel. My reading has been really poor this week. I just have not read that much. Not really much to say there, so I've only done like a couple chapters in this. I'm slightly over halfway. I did finish The Hammer and the Blade last week, and I tried really hard to finish it, so I read the last 100 some odd pages last weekend, and I really enjoyed this one. Turned out to be very different. It's very disturbing. It handles rape in an interesting way, but a very feminist novel, which was unexpected. I always thought Kemp would write Sword and Sorcery really well, and I was not disappointed with that. So, and then my buddy read for November was A Voyage to Arcturus. I finished this one this week, which is pretty good. It's obviously an inspiration for C.S. Lewis's The Space Trilogy. While that is very Christian, this is very not, I would say. This is very much a philosophical response to World War I. This came out in 1920. And interestingly enough, it has some pretty cool concepts, pretty weird, strange concepts from 1920, like, extra colors, right? They have 5 primary colors on this planet. And then there is also, for example, he uses pronouns for a gender neutral, beings. It's pretty cool. And then I also finished The Scions of Shannara, the first book in Heritage Shannara. Pretty good. I didn't enjoy it as much as Elfstones, which is still my favorite. It's definitely interesting though because it doesn't have a Dark Lord this time around. And it doesn't end on a happy note, but it's so much at least because this is an actual series. Well, the first 3 Shannara books, if you're unaware, are basically standalones. So, for example, if you don't like the idea, or if you did not like the Sword of Shannara, I would read Elfstones. I didn't even finish the Sword of Shannara. I couldn't get through it. And then as far as short stories go, I read Clit by Harold Lamb. This is from Wolf of the Steppes. Clit the Cassock is a pulp adventure stories from the teens and 20s, I think. 20th century, of course. Very big influence on Robert E. Howard, the father of Sword and Sorcery. I only read the first story. It's really short. I like that I hear you get into the typical the Cassock stories, a couple stories in. So I haven't had time to read any more stories yet, though, in this one. But it's still pretty cool. I mean, it's nice to be reading some old pulp adventure stories. And then I also, speaking of which, I read the next story in the Cole collection, The Curse of the Golden Skull. Actually helped me finish a story that I have been really meaning to write. Jeremy. Anyways, yeah, I took the inspiration from Curse of the Golden Skull and The Sadness of the Executioner by Fritz Leiber, because I've been wanting to write a story kind of like that, but I didn't want to be so obviously stealing the ideas from them. And so I had already had his idea for a story, so I wrote one, I guess, based off it. It helped me. I wrote 2,400 words in a couple days, which is better than normal, at least. And then I started reading The Turquoise Serpent after I finished The Hammer and the Blade. I haven't really gotten into this one. It's really short chapters as well. 2 main characters, very interesting and different characters. Just hasn't grabbed my attention. I don't think that's really the book's problem. It's more of it's kind of been a depressing, week, so much, kind of mostly probably because of the weather. It's been very cold. Work has been different this week as well. We started doing something new at work, which, since it was new, I didn't listen to as much audiobooks because I needed to be figuring out what I needed to be doing basically with this new stuff going on. Um, and then I read Bloodsport by Gene Wolfe in Swords and Dark Magic. This is a very interesting one. It's told in first person. Definitely has something to do with chess. I can't say I've like dived deep into that one, but it's definitely very interesting. And then I read the next story in The New Edge. This one was really cool. Let's see, it's Vapors of Zanai by J.M. Clark. This one is a pretty cool one. It's definitely like a cool world building and some pretty cool characters and deadly magic and stuff. So I'm excited. I only have one more story left, and then I have the rest of the magazine to read. But yes, I think that was the first story I've ever read by J.M. Clark. I think I could be wrong on that. Definitely could be wrong on that. And then the other short story I actually finished because I started one, haven't finished it yet. Is Mother of Malevolence by Chase A. Fulmar. It's in Whetstone issue 2. I think I might have read this one before, but I felt like reading some Fulmar. He's very Clark Ashton Smith, or kind of antsy and even sword and sorcery, so it's pretty fun. And then as far as books I got, let's see, I finally got a copy of Bloodstone by Carl Edward Wagner. It's kind of beat up. I think this is the first edition, but it's got some like pull-out ad for membership in the Science Fiction Book Club, which is cool. It's also fold out. So this is actually rather cheap. These are generally pretty expensive. So this is the first Kane book, which is considered sword and sorcery and like horror, which are pretty close in some ways. Anyways, I'm really looking forward to this one. I think this will be great, and I finally will be me finishing like what I would think of when I think of the essentials of classic sword and sorcery, because I've already read like Conan and Cole and Leiber's from the Grey Mouser and Moorcock's Elric and some of his other Eternal Champion stuff, and I've read Seymour's Real Jouari, and I've read Charles Saunders' Imero, and I've read Thieves' World as far as shared world anthologies go and stuff. So I'm excited, really excited to get to Bloodstone actually. And then I finally got a copy of The White Wolf's Son, the third of the Dream Quest trilogy, which I will be listening to soon. Oh yeah, I also remembered that I actually started a reread. It's behind some books, so I don't want to grab it. The Fortress of the Pearl by Mark Moorcock. I'm supposed to be doing a discussion on Tuesday about that. We did one on, she was on Evie's channel, I believe, earlier, about a month ago or so, on the first book, Elric of Melibene. This one, it's fun to go back and reread it because there's some characters in this series that have some relations to the Fortress of the Pearl, and there's another character in the Fortress of the Pearl that is in the Quorum, the first Quorum trilogy, that I didn't really recognize that much when I was reading it the first time. Alright, and then the other stuff I got, just real quick, I got The Narrow Bridge by Isaac Newman with Michael Palencia Roth. Newman, when I was really young, I went to Jewish synagogue. It was not Orthodox at all, it was Reform. And this was like the emeritus rabbi, basically, Paul Newman, or Isaac Newman, wow, sorry, I'm really tired. He was this Holocaust survivor, and that's what this is about. So his just story, basically. So yeah, I'm interested to actually finally read this one. It's not super long. I like reading stuff like this sometimes. So it'll definitely be interesting to, I imagine it'll probably be more focused on faith than a lot of, I read a lot of stuff like that, memorized from like the Holocaust. A lot of those Jews are pretty normal people, and in some ways they're just culturally Jewish, and maybe not super into religion. This guy went on to be a rabbi, so a little different. Anyways, I also got a copy of Empire of Exiles, which came out on Tuesday. I pre-ordered this, it came on Tuesday, which is nice. I don't pre-order books all that often, to be honest. Book 1 of the Book of the Usurper, I got an e-arc for this, so I did a review already a couple months ago. I'm a big fan of Evans. I've read her 7 Forgotten novels. And so this is cool to finally see her not writing D&D fiction, though I would love that if, Wizards of the Coast didn't hate their novel fans. Anyways, so yeah, it's cool. It's published by Orbit. Go and pick it up. I know Alan from the Library of Alexandria did a very gushy review, and he even chatted with Aaron, so that's pretty cool. And then last but not least, I got a copy of, I don't even remember what it's called, Blood and Thunder. I wanted to know what the Lady Fulvia stories were, because you can't, there's no modern collection of them. You have to get them individually from Adventure Magazine. If a collection doesn't come out soon, though DMR Books said they might do one, I might have to get the 6 individual issues that have the Fulvia stories, because I wanted to read about, I like Jurel Jouari because she is like contemporary with Robert E. Howard, like Sword and Sorcery. So like one of the early Sword and Sorcery authors was a woman, and she had a woman as a main character, which is very uncommon. You know, a lot of women, if they were writing, they didn't even write, their characters weren't women generally. And then in this case, these stories are by Farnham Bishop and Arthur Gilchrist Broder, so they're men, but their character is a woman, which is still abnormal. There's a note in the article about Lady Fulvia in here from the editor of the magazine of Adventure saying, I generally don't have women be the main characters, and he lists his reasons, and they're outdated reasons and kind of dumb, but it's still cool. I want to read them, because those are old stories with a women protagonist and pulp adventure, which sounds really cool to me. So I think that's it. Oh, well, I read a little bit in my the unpublished book for my internship as well. So that's going. Yeah, I think that's it. I reached 7,000 words with one of my like science fantasy stories, and I wrote that Sword and Sorcery one that I was inspired by after reading that Cole story, which again doesn't really have Cole in it. He's just mentioned like the last few. It's really short as well. So yeah, hopefully you guys will see that story at some point. There's not much else to say there. I got like 3 rejections this week from magazines. I got like 4 the week before that. I mean, I've been getting a lot. So, I mean, if I get all these rejections right, then hopefully at some point there's acceptance for, stories. So I have a lot submitted right now. I have basically all the stories I have finished, with the exception of one submitted to different places right now. And I am thinking about sending that to a press. So anyways, this has been Liam Liam's Lyceum. I did keep it relatively short this week, which is nice. But maybe I'll just take this moment actually just to say, like, go check out other channels, I guess, like an Erudite Adventure, Owen Edwards. Check out David Wiley. He's got great content. Go check out Raph from Raph Blue Tax. That should give you a differing set of opinions, but all, in this case, good guys for the most part. And or even Amanda from Strange Mentality Paper. I like having I like being friendly with people. It's always nice. I don't feel like I always have actually I'm rather contrarian by nature, so I generally don't have all of the same opinions as some people. Generally not even, I don't think that, it's probably not possible. So, but I like getting along with people that are on a wide spectrum of, whatever that is. So whatever the spectrum is really, right? So, but those are all great people. You can go check out their content if you want good content. There's a lot of others out there, of course, too. So, like Michael Kivan or something. He's rather popular, so you probably know him. So yeah, anyways, it's Liam's Lyceum. I'll catch you next time.